Hey, financially savvy travelers. Welcome back to another episode of the Thought Card podcast. Travel podcasts share inspiring stories. They offer insider insights and local perspectives, suggest things to do, and give us a peek into how people explore the world. Travel podcasts encourage us to step out of our comfort zones, melting away the barriers that seemingly divide us. No matter your travel style, there's a travel podcast out there for you that focuses on the topics you're looking for, be it couples travel, family travel, solo travel, Black travel, or luxury travel. While dozens of lists feature binge-worthy travel podcasts, I've noticed that the same shows get mentioned repeatedly. And it's no shade to anyone in particular, but it's true. As a podcaster myself, this is frustrating because there are so many incredible shows that often don't make the top travel podcast or best travel podcast lists. So I'm taking matters into my own hands. In this episode, I share 8 of my favorite travel podcasts. But if you head over to my website, thoughtcard.com, you'll find the complete list of 20 plus shows. I encourage you to follow or subscribe to these shows on your favorite podcast player, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for digital nomad podcasts, I have another blog post highlighting some that will inspire some serious wanderlust and remote work. This episode is made possible with the support of Thrifty Traveler. Over the last 5 years, Thrifty Traveler has been my go-to resource for all things cheap flights. I've been able to visit places I never thought that I could afford by simply staying in the know with instant flight deal email notifications. Get free cheap flight alerts for flights departing from the US and Canada sent straight to your inbox. And if you want to access even more deals or want to be the first to know about points and miles sales or discounted business and first class tickets, upgrade to Thrifty Traveler Premium. Use the promo code TC10 for $10 off your first year. Again, that is TC10 for $10 off your first year. Welcome to The Thought Card, a podcast about travel and money, where planning, saving, and creativity leads to affording travel, building wealth, and paying off debt. We are the financially savvy travelers. All right, so first up is Geo Bree's Travel Podcast, one of my favorite shows. If you want to travel for next to no cost or want to level up your award travel skills and lifestyle, highly recommend listening to Geo Bree's Travel Podcast by Julia Menes. In each episode, guests from diverse and underrepresented backgrounds share how they got started with points and miles, how they used their awards, and mistakes they've made along the way. With insightful strategies for both novice and advanced travel hackers, you'll get introduced to lesser known travel hacking secrets. Honestly, I just love Geo Bree's Travel Podcast because the content is so refreshing. And not only do you learn advanced travel hacking skills, but also you can learn how to travel hack for different destinations, like luxury stays in Arizona or staying at a Disney resort, or how to hack Disney stays and your Disney vacation. Like, I love the practicality of, like, in practice, like how to do this travel hacking and award travel for particular destinations. So again, I love Geo Bree's Travel Podcast, and I really try not to miss an episode. So if Julia Menes sounds familiar, that's because in episode 79, Julia came on the show and she shared travel hacking secrets that will honestly blow you away. So if you haven't listened to episode 79, please go back into the archives and go back and listen to it. And if you have listened to it before, still go back and listen to it, because I'm sure there's something still new to learn from that episode, because again, Julia is amazing and she's one of my favorite trusted resources for award travel. Next up is Travel Goals Podcast. So Travel Goals Podcast by Portia Jones, aka Pip, shares in-depth discussions on the latest travel trends with some of the biggest names in the travel industry. In addition to destination inspiration and stories of travel adventures from all around the world, you can tune in to this show for practical tips on how to travel better, smarter, cheaper, and generally more purposefully. Now, Badass Digital Nomads is another one of my absolute favorites by Kristen Wilson. Kristen Wilson is an established digital nomad, and she created Badass Digital Nomad to teach people how to become experts at working from home and working from anywhere, honestly. She's also a really big YouTuber, has a very popular YouTube channel as well called Traveling with Kristen. So if you are not following her on YouTube, also follow Kristen on YouTube. And I really just enjoy Kristen's content all about how to prosper in this remote economy. Whether you're an experienced entrepreneur or simply just interested in becoming a digital nomad, I love this show because Kristen brings on guests from different industries to speak about travel, entrepreneurship, and remote work. This weekly show will, I believe, help you with self-development and teach you about living a more flexible and adventurous life. You know, if you're interested in having more freedom through online work, this show is absolutely for you. Now, if Kristen sounds familiar, that's because she joined us over here on the podcast, the Thought Card podcast, over on episode 85, where we talked about the history of remote work and digital nomad trends to be on the lookout for. So I absolutely adore Kristen's work, and she's so knowledgeable and has been a digital nomad for a long time. So she brings a lot of knowledge and insights to the table. So Badass Digital Nomads is another show that I highly recommend. Now, in that same vein, if remote work and location independence are priorities for you, then you must absolutely add The Offbeat Life as one of your new favorite travel podcasts. Host Debbie Arcangeli interviews fearless individuals who ditched the norm to become location independent. Learn how remote workers, digital nomads, and entrepreneurs are overcoming setbacks and creating income while working online from anywhere. Leave each episode with new ideas for making a living while traveling the world. Back in episode 70, Debbie joined us on this show and taught us how to become location independent. And this episode was really inspiring for me because it helped build the confidence to eventually quit my job. So I highly recommend going back and listening to episode 70, all about how to become location independent with Debbie Arcangeli. Now, a newer show to me is Digital Nomad Stories, but I have fallen in love with this show. Don't you guys see like a theme here? I listen to a lot of like location independent, remote work, like freedom lifestyle podcasts, but it's just amazing to see that there's just so many shows out here that see the importance and like have this as like a primary focus. So it's interesting to see the themes here. But yes, so I discovered Digital Nomad Stories and I really do enjoy it. And just hearing the behind the scenes of like how people are living as digital nomads, like what are their decisions? How are they running their business? What destinations that they love? All the lessons that they've learned. It's just, again, so insightful and so inspiring. So if one day I decide to pack up my bags with my family and become a digital nomad, I feel like I would be so much more equipped with what it's like to live that lifestyle. So from overcoming loneliness to common money mistakes and tips on thriving during your first months as a digital nomad, you know, when you listen to the show, you could leave each episode inspired with new ideas and insights that you can use to start or improve your lifestyle, your digital nomad lifestyle. Every week, Anne interviews a guest sharing how they live their life filled with travel, remote work, and personal growth. So, this is a newer show to me, and I'm really, really enjoying it and having so much fun digging back and listening to older episodes as I go through that entire archive. Now, the next show is called All Things Iceland. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love Iceland. I've been to Iceland 3 times, and I've also written a travel guide all about how to have an adventurous and culturally enriching trip to Iceland. So I'll definitely leave a link to Iceland Nature, Nurture, and Adventure, my Iceland travel guide book, in the show notes if you're interested. But All Things Iceland, I just really appreciate it because it is all things Iceland. You can discover Iceland's history, culture, natural wonders, and language through the eyes of an expat, Jules Chambers. In addition to these insightful interviews, you'll also hear helpful travel advice and tips and what it's like living in the land of fire and ice, in particular as a expat. So someone who has moved to Iceland and sharing all those insights and perspectives. So I really do love All Things Iceland, and I think that you would really appreciate it, and it will give you just a deeper understanding and context for when you actually go and visit Iceland yourself. Now, the next podcast on my list is called The Profitable Travel Blogger. So as the title states, this is more of a travel blogger focused show, but I really love this show by Jessie Festa. So if you're interested in turning your travel blog into a profitable location independent business, it's possible. And Jessie Festa is here to ensure that you do. This show is for busy content creators who want more actionable strategies to grow their blog's traffic, community, and income. And honestly, this show will really help you to be your own boss and travel from anywhere and really just live that lifestyle, whatever lifestyle you choose. This is possible with the Profitable Travel Bloggers show. So there's a lot of behind the scenes of things to think about as a travel blogger, from lead magnets to like how to monetize your blog to it's just so many, just again, amazing information. And I just love Jessie's episodes. These episodes also typically are on the shorter side. So it's not like you get overwhelmed with like so much content and so many things to do in a short period of time. So I like that these episodes are on the shorter side. And again, it just provides a lot of insights to how to turn your travel blog into a profitable in a location independent business. All right. So the last podcast on my list is Location Indie, and Location Indie has been around for a really long time. So maybe you know about it. If not, I'm going to share with you what I love about it. So I love Location Indie because it's specifically all about living a location independent lifestyle. Travis Sherry gives us straightforward advice on running an online business, travel, remote work, and also lifestyle design. He openly shares what it takes and the steps you need to achieve the triangle of total freedom. I've been listening to Location Indie for a really, really long time. Travis also has another show called Extra Pack of Peanuts, which is another amazing travel podcast. So between those two, you will definitely be covered with tons of inspiration, practical advice, and just generally a lot of travel tips and travel stories. So I'm always on the hunt for new to me travel shows and travel podcasts. So I'd love to hear from you. I shared with you a handful of some of my favorite travel podcasts, but I know that there's so many more out there. So please let me know by emailing me over at thethoughtcard@gmail.com. I'd absolutely love to hear your recommendations. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Thought Card podcast. It really means so much to me that you are here. And it's hard to believe that we're approaching our 5-year anniversary of the Thought Card podcast in 2023. Like, it's just literally blows my mind. I can still, actually, I feel like my husband took a little video of me, like literally like shaking in my closet, recording my first handful of episodes back in 2018. So it's just incredible to see the amount of growth that has happened since I launched the show. And I think this is why I also wanted to create this episode in particular, because I just know how much work and how much dedication comes to creating a travel show. And I just really, really wanted to highlight some of these incredible shows that I definitely feel like you would enjoy. Also, this episode really just made me realize how much of location independence focus that I have in my life and how I am really leaning into this remote work and travel and like work from anywhere kind of lifestyle. So I'm just, again, just super thankful. And yeah, we're going to definitely be celebrating it big when we hit our 5-year anniversary in September. So definitely stay tuned. Your listens, your frequent recommendations to your friends, and also your podcast reviews, either on Apple or Spotify, really help me going. So I appreciate you so, so, so much. But can you do me a quick favor? Please share this podcast with one friend, at least one friend, please, who loves travel and is interested in personal finance. That would really make my day and also help grow the show. Like I mentioned, I shared only a handful of my favorite travel podcasts, but you can find the complete list of 20 plus shows over at thoughtcard.com. And I'll also include the link to that article in the show notes for easy and convenient access. Now, that is all for this one, friends. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.